Vigilantes, I am very happy to be here with you guys today. I have a very special guest. His name is Mike Benke. He works with the Dollar Vigilante alongside Ed Bugos in doing research that captivated me during the Dollar Vigilante Summit. Now, I know our channel is crypto oriented, but I just can't keep myself from telling you guys about what's going on at the Dollar Vigilante. They are working on many different products that they give our subscribers, including junior mining stocks. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Benke. Mike Benke, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on. And yeah, the junior mining stocks. I know you, like you said, this is a crypto channel, but and a lot of crypto investors are looking for those big 100,000x gains, right? And crypto is one of the few spaces where you can get those big gains. But there is another space, and it's the junior mining stock space, and it's not all the time though. There's different cycles and different timing, but at the right time and the right place, fortunes can be made just in the junior mining stocks. So yeah, I'd love to tell you a little bit about that today. Maybe a little bit of an introduction of who I am. So yeah, I've been working with Ed Bugos at the Dollar Vigilante for the last 5 years. I went through a bit of a life career change with COVID and everything, and was looking for work. And I applied. Ed had a position, and I applied, and ended up getting the job. And I just have to say that what I thought the job was, before actually doing it, a completely different view. And even though I was a subscriber for the TDV newsletter for years and a follower of Jeff for years, I probably underappreciated just how much of an expert Ed is at what he does.
Yep.
He's been doing this stuff for freaking decades.
Yeah, he's a
Rode
monster.
many of those exploration cycles before.
He's a beast. He's a beast. Ed is a beast, and there really isn't like it's hard to find someone that would match him. And it is really humbling to work
Yeah.
alongside him, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is very humbling. I think, I like to think of myself as a pretty smart guy, pretty capable guy. A lot of stuff. And like you said, it's humbling actually working with him and just realizing how much you don't know. But he's been a great, teacher, a great mentor. He's got me to read tons of books, and just one-on-one training, especially when it comes to the mining stuff. So, after 5 years of working with him, I think I know a few things, got a lot of ways to go still, but, yeah, I have to say when it comes to, we manage a portfolio of mining stocks, and, there's a lot of work that's actually involved in this portfolio. There's 18 companies now, but we're aiming to increase that to 20. And so, we have to keep up to date on these companies, and there's a lot of things that can happen in the mining world, from mergers to acquisitions to new discoveries to the government of some country decides they're going to nationalize the mine. Like, just about anything can happen out there, right? And so it's a lot of work just keeping on top of that, and that's what we try to do for our subscribers. For all the companies that we follow, we provide regular updates on what's happening, how the stock price is doing, where we think it's going. We make share price predictions, all that stuff. You can find that all in the newsletter. But just to brag a little bit, last year was a great year for the portfolio. As a whole, it was up 148%, which is outpacing the gains in gold and silver. And gold and silver had a great year too, right? And so one of the, I think one of our top performers in the portfolio was like a 240% gain. And even though the gains were really good, Ed and I think there's more to be had. There's more to be had because you got to think about these mining companies. They all of their revenue, like 100% of their revenue, comes from selling metal, right? Gold, silver, copper, whatever it is. And so their costs, are relatively stable, year to year. And with last year, the price of gold and silver doubling, basically what happens to these mining companies is their profits just soar, right? Because their costs stay the same, but the revenue they're bringing in will double or triple or whatever, depending on what metal they're selling. And so when their profits explode like that, it creates a lot of interest in the space. People start looking at these mining companies, which for years were kind of overlooked. Everything was about AI and all the tech stocks, right? And so all of a sudden, with gold and silver making these gains, people are looking at these mining companies and going, "Holy shit, they're making so much money now. Their profits are like doubling." And so that's usually it's the big major companies that see the first wave of investments, right? Because the hedge funds and stuff, they want to get a position. They need companies with lots of liquidity, lots of shares. And so that's where you usually see the space heat up first. And we certainly did see that last year. But as this continues, the next thing down is the junior exploration companies, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. And just for anyone out there that may not know, a junior exploration company in the mining world is a company that is not actually mining anything yet, so they're not generating any revenue. Okay, so the only reason these companies exist and can stay afloat is through investment. Okay, and so what they're doing is they're just in the process of developing or advancing an asset towards production. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get something towards production. Maybe they get bought out in the process. That's actually very common. But at this moment in time, they're not actually generating money. So it's very speculative. But this is the space that Ed and I see heating up at the moment. Even though in the past few months, there's company can just put out a hot drill result or make a new discovery, and in weeks it's a 3x, it's a 4x, and so we're seeing a lot of this happening right now. Things just popping off. But the real winners, like if you can find that real winner, a 10x, a 100x in a few months or a year is entirely possible. And so that's what I was saying before. These things are kind of like meme coins, right? There's tons of potential in that.
Yeah, and I love that type of fun. By the way, I had to mute myself because there's some parrots behind me that live in a tree back here that just they harass you, and they heard me talking, and you hear that? So oh yeah, they mimic my voice, which is funny.
Yeah, that's really funny.
You hear
Cool,
that?
man. I
See,
can't
they're
hear him. I
laughing.
can't hear him, but
They're laughing. So yeah, I love them. So anyway, dude, this geeks me out so much, especially now that we are in a crypto bear market.
yeah,
The fact
yeah,
that we have these opportunities, and these are opportunities that I personally have not found anywhere, but with through you guys. And so, if we could please go a little bit into the due diligence that goes into finding these things, like what do you look for? What is if you were to lay out a profile for us as to what you're looking for when you're seeking these junior mining stocks, like how would you detail it?
yeah, yeah. No, that's a great question. The first thing I want let the viewers know is, um, as a premium Dollar Vigilante subscriber, you actually get access to a whole other newsletter that Ed and I put out every month. It's Dollar Vigilante Mining and Exploration Monthly Review. And in this newsletter, we cover the stock portfolio as well as major trends that are happening in the industry. So it's a good read there. But to answer your question, the last part of every issue, we highlight the three best drill results that we've seen that month. What they were, what the company was, and we just give a little blurb about them. And so this is a real critical starting point for us. So as a part of my job, I'm looking at drill results every day. And listen, there are a lot of exploration companies. It's not like one or two. It's they're like up there with the meme coins, where like they're just popping up all over the place, right? And so due diligence is definitely required. And so one of the first tests I guess we have is the drill results. And so I'm looking at drill results every day, and there can be hundreds sometimes in a single day. And so again, using Ed's methodology of finding the right drill, what makes a drill result really exciting, right? So he's got a filter system, and so I'm putting all the results through there, and then we kind of identify the exciting results. And if they've got results and we get some love from them, it gets flagged. Right about it gets flagged, but that's not good enough to become a recommendation. It just kind of gets on our radar. And so we're at any given point in time, we're probably looking at about, I don't know, 50 to 100 of these companies that, have had that good drill result. And now we're taking a look at them. And there's a lot you want to look at. First and foremost, the asset they have, the project, where are they going after? Where is it? What part of the world? Is it a good jurisdiction? Is it is it on the top of a mountain? Is it really deep? All these things can affect, how the cost of building a mine and stuff. So the asset itself is big, but so is things like the management team, right? Like, have these guys done this before? Do they know what they're doing? Can they raise capital? Have they raised capital? Or are they just a bunch of clowns that are just trying to ride the wave of metal prices going up and just slap together a project? Because there's a lot of that. So you want to look at the management team. You want to look at what are they going for? Like what is their vision? And the companies that we're selecting, we're looking for guys that are going to have world-class projects. We're talking about, if it's gold, 3 to 5 million ounces, maybe even more. So that's where the big money can be made, is finding these companies that have a really big project, but you're quite early. And then probably the most important thing we do when we're assessing a company is valuation. And again, this is where Ed is a real fucking expert on this stuff. And it's probably the hardest thing I've had to learn over the years. When you're looking at a company, you can see its market cap and its share price, and what stage of development it's at. And there's a whole bunch of methodologies you can apply to that information to kind of understand, is this company fairly valued for where it's at? Is it undervalued? Is it overvalued? And there's a lot of times a lot of hype can get into a company, and it can get a really high share price, really high market cap that doesn't really match its assets, and then it'll eventually correct. And so we want to avoid things like that. So we're always really kind of looking for the companies that are undervalued or underappreciated at the moment, even though they have great assets. But yeah, no, a lot goes into it, but hopefully that answers your question. But it's a long process. Actually, and sometimes we can be, sometimes we've been following companies for like months to even over a year. Like Goliath Resources, we were following over a year before we, listed them. And a lot of times we like to speak to the CEOs too, see what they have to say. But yeah, anyway, a lot goes into it for sure.
So what's the ticker? Because that's what everyone's asking right now. What's the ticker? And you don't have to tell them the ticker, because if they want to hear the ticker you gave us at the Dollar Vigilante Summit, they can go to dollarvigilantesummit.com and watch it for themselves, right? We can sell that to them right now. Yeah, if you want access to the exclusive tickers and to his entire presentation, go to dollarvigilantesummit.com. Or you can also find them when you go to our website, dollarvigilante.com. But you guys are gonna be putting out a ticker, a company every month to subscribers. Is that correct?
Close, more or less. So we've just made some changes to the portfolio, and we have basically a couple slots open for two more exploration companies. So we very well could release them, in the next 2 months, exactly like that. We have a little bit more due diligence to do, and we really want to get the timing right on it as well. And so it may not be exactly the next 2 months, but I would say in the next several months, there are going to be 2 more picks coming out for sure. And you want to be subscribed to the newsletter to gain access to that. And, I just want to point out too, that drill results section we have in the monthly mining. Like I said, every month we're putting out 3 tickers. Now these aren't official recommendations because we haven't done the full due diligence on it, but they've checked a few boxes, and we've been interested in them, and they kind of make it on our short list. But what's really been fascinating to me over this past year, because I've been doing this, there's been some issues where the 3 picks that we've put out within 6 months have done a 3x or a 4x or even more. And so even though they're not official picks, if this space kind of excites you, this is a great resource. We do a lot of work screening companies. And so even though they might not be an official pick, a lot of the ones we drop in that newsletter, turn out to do very well. And so if it interests you and you look into it more, it could be a good opportunity as well.
So have you heard of a company called Pre-Stocks? They were selling stocks to people using the Solana blockchain. Do you ever see this
Yes.
world merging into crypto in that way, where it's just more accessible to the crypto investor to buy stocks on chain?
Yeah, there's inroads. I haven't seen anything, you know, that's very accessible to the average person just yet, or very many options. But I got to tell you, looking at headlines every day, I would say probably in a given week, 4 or 5 days out of the week, I'm seeing some sort of a headline that's talking about some traditional finance firm integrating some sort of a blockchain technology to have tokenized assets is what they call it. And one of the ways this is going is they want stocks, like you're saying, stocks that can be traded on a blockchain as a tokenized asset 24/7, right? And that's the thing that it seems to be the demand right now. People want to be able to trade stocks outside of normal hours. And yeah, this real world tokenization of assets is a trend that's I'm definitely seeing this trend, and it's building. It's probably not going to be long before we can trade stocks just like crypto, I think. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you could share with our audience as a freebie, or would you rather keep it behind the newsletter or your presentation? Because your presentation was incredible. Okay, like guys, if there's one presentation that I recommend watching, is the Dollar Vigilante presentation of the Dollar Vigilante Summit by Mike Benke. That presentation was fire, man, because you really were able to um bring a lot of, I don't know how else to say this, but a lot of excitement to the world of gold and silver. And in this area in particular is very exciting because you're 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 going into a like a, it feels like a low cap cryptocurrency, but at the same time
Absolutely.
it's more fundamentally like, well, it is different, right? It's different. And
It's different. I mean, there is a business behind it, like it's if these companies can deliver a mine at the end of the day, these things generate like huge cash flows, right? And so it's that's where it attracts the money, right? It attracts the investment. And yeah, a lot of the times, you can make money by just so you invest in one of these junior exploration companies, right? And all they're doing is developing an asset. And a lot of the times your exit comes before they even build a mine, So it could be a situation where, for example, there was this exploration project or a company called Great Bear, and Kinross came in and bought that company before it even released a resource estimate. Like they didn't even know, they didn't even communicate to the market how much gold was there. It was just speculation. And then Kinross comes in and buys it. And if you were a shareholder there, you made out very, very well. And so that's the interesting thing about this space. It's not like you have to hold the stock until it becomes a mine and then wait for it to generate cash flow. It's like you can get in early before everyone else knows about it, kind of thing. And then once all the investors kind of pile in, and then a big major buys it out, you sell your position and walk away. But as for teasers or anything, I did talk to Ed about this before the presentation, and we don't think it's fair to our premium subscribers and our VIC members and stuff to just spit out our new picks. But I mean, you make a great point with the summit. It's probably the easiest way, the cheapest way to gain access to our current portfolio. I do discuss our new pick as well as all of the other exploration companies that are currently in the portfolio, and I just try to make the case of why you should own it. So, yeah, thanks. I appreciate the feedback on it, and I think it is a good presentation. So that'd be my recommendation, is the best starting point. But honestly, if this space interests you, subscribing to the newsletter as a premium subscriber and getting access to that monthly mining newsletter, tons of information in there that they'll help you out in the space.
well, I'll be honest, after crypto, this is the thing that geeks me out the most. And I'm truly like a student of it. And I see myself I go back and I read things that, Ed wrote, and I go back and forth with Mr. X. I actually have a computer dedicated just to Dollar Vigilante studies. So,
Right
yeah,
on.
because everything I do is crypto. So, but if I want to learn about the gold world in as deep, I need to have a computer that when I look at it, it's just Dollar Vigilante, and it's just that material. So I don't bring in crypto stuff to that computer. That computer is just Dollar Vigilante studies, and it's worked very well for me. I must say that at the Crypto Vigilante, our foundation for investing comes from the Dollar Vigilante. Crypto is 20% of the allocated portfolio of the Dollar Vigilante. So look, we talk about
That's right.
crypto
Yeah.
all the time here because it is the newest, fastest, most exciting space, and it will be, in my opinion, for decades to come because it regards peer-to-peer technology at its foundational level, like the ability to transact with another without any intermediary. That's beautiful. So these technologies are not
Yeah.
going anywhere, but gold and silver are also not going anywhere. And I I really enjoy personally having this foundation in in the Dollar Vigilante because it allows us as crypto investors to have a broader perspective on the market. And most people in crypto are either stuck in crypto and they have a hard time looking elsewhere. I've only found very few investors in crypto that are as informed regarding gold, silver, and these, for example, junior mining opportunities. Um, and
You know,
and
it's
it,
funny,
yeah,
just to interject,
sure.
it's funny too, because it's the opposite way too. You know, in the gold mining world, there's a lot of these gold bugs and, exploration stock guys that hate crypto. They wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And they're, very vocal about it. So it's interesting. But no, I think the wise investor has exposure to both. There's opportunities in both. And yeah, you shouldn't shortchange yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten into gold and silver for a long time, and I've just been hodling forever. So, and I'll just continue to hodl and just DCA. It's
Yeah,
but look, it's very important for you as the listener to this interview to realize that our foundation again revolves around the Dollar Vigilante. And I think that makes you, as a Crypto Vigilante subscriber, a very well-rounded person because it it allows you to not get sucked into one world. And it happens so easily in crypto. In crypto, it's so easy for us to just go tunnel vision. It happens to me all the time, and I have to snap out of it. So it's good. Um, it's very healthy for us to have the Dollar Vigilante as our foundation. If you're a Crypto Vigilante subscriber, you automatically become a Dollar Vigilante subscriber. And we do that on
that's right.
purpose so that you have that foundation that is broad and not focus on just crypto. So yeah, thank you for all the work you're doing, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. It was a good chat. Anytime you want to chat, let me know.
Is there anything else that you would like to, where can people follow you? How can they learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, just signing up for the newsletter. That's where I do all the work for Ed and the team. Um, yeah, that's basically it for me. But uh, in closing thoughts, I don't know if I really touched on it, but the reason we're so bullish on the junior mining stocks now is given what's going on in the macro environment and what's going on with gold and silver, which Ed covers a lot. So it's the case for junior mining stocks isn't all the time. It's there's certain cycles to it and certain timing and opportunity, and we are on the cusp of that right now with with how gold and silver performed the past year. And even though Ed gives the possibility of a little bit of a correction still more in gold and silver, it doesn't change our thesis on what's going to happen in the junior mining space. So yeah, that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
So, well, since you touched on the topic, what if you can give us a overview on what the outlook is economically regarding gold and silver into the near future?
Well, I think the near future is the hardest to predict, just with so much shit going on, with the fucking World War III now too, and the tariff back and forth, and are they going to cut rates? Are they going to raise rates? There's a lot of variables right now. So really, in the short term, I think gold and silver are susceptible to go either way. But in the long term, I totally agree with Ed's bullish case, and longer term might just be a year or two or three, but five to $10,000 gold is certainly possible. Several $100s for silver. So I mean, just in our forecast too, these mining companies are so leveraged to gold and silver prices that for example, if gold doubles, it's not unreasonable for a mining stock to triple or quadruple. Just how leveraged they are to the price of these metals, and so that's why we're so bullish on mining stocks. It's like we're bullish on gold and silver, first and foremost, but when those things surge, so do the mining stocks. And listen, it's not even just gold and silver. I should also mention we're quite bullish on copper as an example. Both copper and silver have these industrial uses that they're just increasing, and there's not a lot of supply. So we're quite bullish on all of those metals, and yeah, the mining stocks just benefit from it directly.
Yeah. So obviously, again, I'm going to repeat myself. This is a crypto show, but I think people want honesty, and honestly, this is something where my mind is right now. I'm completely geeking out about what your research is and what Ed is doing. Um, this is incredible. It really is, and it really balances out the worldview in crypto very well. What you just said made me really happy. I mean, this is incredible, dude. And the fact that we have such an incredible team that tackles all of this so well just baffles me. And it sometimes I'm like I'm just really honored, to have you here, to work with Ed, to have the team we have. And I
Yes,
dude,
stack
as,
team
as
for sure.
as you were talking, I was like, I should have this conversation more often with you because first off, I think it's very important for people to know that this is something that we focus on. And arguably, our overall, the Dollar Vigilante has more experience and knowledge and just strong foundations in this area of investing. I'd say than even crypto because crypto's very new in comparison to this. I mean, Ed was doing this 20 years before crypto,
That's right.
before Satoshi published the white paper. So this is in reality like I'd say like our strongest um, uh, foundation. And maybe we can talk a little bit about Ed himself, but Ed is someone who has been a contrarian, who has been ahead of the market many times throughout his life. And I know that in
Yeah.
2007 and 2006, he called out what was to happen and what everyone lived through, and people thought he was going nuts. People didn't believe him. He was a contrarian, and
Yeah.
is honestly that that example that encourages me to be okay in being a contrarian at times, seeing Jeff, seeing Ed, taking a stand,
Yeah.
when they're alone and proven right. So that's maybe if you could speak to that and to the experience of the Dollar Vigilante team, because again, I think crypto, it has been a huge wave and we've become very well known for that. But this area here, um, is it could be argued like it's probably our strongest suit, if not the strongest foundation that we have as an
Yeah.
organization. I'd say this, that our investment thesis in crypto and in Bitcoin is very much one that tries to mirror the investment thesis of the Dollar Vigilante as much as possible. To take the Austrian economic
Yes.
theory and to apply it to investing has been very um, has proven itself in the Dollar Vigilante when we talk about this topic of gold, silver, precious metals, junior mining
Yes.
stocks.
Yes.
And when we carry that into crypto, it's no shock that we are always the best performing portfolio. Like we were in 2025 with Monero, with privacy coins, and we have
Yeah.
been doing
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
good this year as well. And I like the fact that you've been tracking, you track it. So for all you, our inside
Yeah.
baseball here, Mike has been very good at tracking our crypto picks. And
Yeah.
so yeah, let's talk about that real quick then.
Yeah. Well, no,
The
I'm glad you
background
brought
of
up
the Dollar Vigilante. Yes.
yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the Austrian Economic Foundation. Because I think that's central to Ed's, contrarian view, because a lot of analysts and economists don't even consider the Austrian viewpoint, which in my mind is the correct way of looking at it. The Austrian Economic Foundation is, I think, that's the basis that Ed the framework, I would say, that Ed kind of looks at everything, and it's what makes him a contrarian, because most economists, most analysts out there, they don't consider Austrian economics at all. They're all these Keynesian, they're off in their own world, and the stuff that doesn't make sense. And really, at the core of the Austrian economic understanding, the we have these booms and busts in markets, right? And these can be attributed to the artificial manipulation of interest rates. Okay, central banks intervening into the economy, and it's understanding that it's those actions that cause the boom and bust that allow someone like Ed as an analyst to better predict when these cycles are going to happen. And what's an interesting phenomenon to me is that during, I think most people aren't aware of that, but during COVID, for example, when inflation just shot up out of the roof and they were printing money like mad, it kind of got out there. I think that idea that the Fed is printing money. There's that famous meme where it's got Powell, and he's behind the printing press, and he's just like, everyone's seen that meme, and it's really just something that came out after COVID, and so I think people do understand that, hey, inflation is caused by them printing more money. They're always printing more money, and it's benefited things like crypto. That's a lot of the big waves in crypto have been because of that factor, and so anyway, my point is, what a lot of people don't know, and what Ed has been writing about, and kind of been one of the only guys kind of waving his hand on this in recent years, is, for the last few years, they haven't been printing money. They've actually been doing the opposite. The central banks have been soaking it up again. They've been trying to contain that inflation. That was the reason. They're trying to contain the inflation. And Ed is one of the only guys out there saying, hey, they're not printing money. And so a lot of these other people just assume. I've seen lots of economists and even like gold mining CEOs, because they're bullish on gold, because, they're like, yeah, the Fed's printing money. It's like, the Fed isn't printing money. They haven't been printing money. And so this is, if anyone that's been following Ed out there, he's been very bearish on the stock market for years. I think he's probably just got out there a little bit too early. But the reason why he's so bearish is because they're not printing money. And historically, all these booms and busts, the busts occur after a boom when they stop printing money. They stop giving that heroin addict the heroin, and that's the stage we're at right now. And so gold has had a good run, but it's had a good run without printing money. And so there could be a correction in gold and silver in the short term, especially if the stock markets crash. But we all know what is going to happen. The way that they're going to resolve the stock market crash, or any kind of a panic that ensues, is they're going to print more money again. And so that's why long term we're very bullish on all of these anti-dollar trades, whether it's crypto or gold or the miners, because they're the ones that are going to directly benefit. when they do open the printing presses again. And like I said, most people aren't even aware that they've closed them. And so that's where I think Ed has really stood out in the last few years as a contrarian, and why I think he's going to be right ultimately
Yeah, he's the
in
only
the
one
future.
that I've come across that has emphasized that point. I mean, that to me is mind-boggling. That to me is
Yeah,
mind-boggling, and it's humbling, right? Because it's humbling in two ways. Number one, it's humbling because it makes me realize how little awareness there is regarding that topic. And it's humbling to know that, that our director of research is, in my opinion, the only dude actually saying these things. That is
yeah,
humbling. And so, um, and it's humbling because it puts a lot of responsibility on my shoulders and your shoulders to step up and at the very least match Ed. That's our challenge here, man. We have to match Ed.
that's a
Our,
big
our
challenge,
goal,
big challenge, big gap.
it's a huge, responsibility that you and I have, and that the team has. We have to follow in the footsteps of someone who is so unique and so on point when it comes to these things. So it's yeah, it's a responsibility I don't take lightly. And yeah, it makes me realize how much I have to sit down and just read more. When I started working with Ed, I thought I was a little badass when it came to Austrian economics. I honestly did. I thought I knew my shit because I did
Right,
postgraduate work in economics. I was the guy that was hanging out at the Mises Institute in college. I
right
was
on.
the guy going to various different symposiums. I was accompanying my friends for call to abstracts at different conferences at, Young Americans for Liberty, Students for Liberty. I was completely involved with that. I was the guy visiting Murphy at Loyola in New Orleans, right? I was that guy, right?
Right on.
And I thought I had,
Yeah.
and then when I came to meet Ed, I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm a baby when it comes to this, And I was a dude that was swimming in that, and a lot of it has to do because, you know, we we live in a world that we are all so affected by communism and Keynesian economics.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
We swim in it and we don't even realize that we're swimming in it. And so,
No, no. It's even worse. I find that when I speak to socialists and stuff, they're very firm in their beliefs. Uh, they're under the impression that the system we're living under right now is capitalism, and they think that everything that's wrong in the world is because we have a capitalist system. And it just baffles me because there are some elements of capitalism still left for sure, but this system is socialist, more and more. And whenever all the problems that are emerging is because of the drift towards socialism, and yet these socialists think that we're in a capitalist system. It's really fucking bizarre, but I've seen that for sure.
I'll give you an example. In Latin America, people think that the US has been successful because it's so bureaucratic. Like they honestly think that.
Yeah,
But the
more government,
reality,
that'll do it.
but they really, yeah, so they think that they need to become more bureaucratic in everything that they do, more
Yeah,
status. The truth is that the US has been successful, and the most successful places in the US are the most libertarian places in the US. So that
exactly,
just goes to show
exactly.
you, how we I try to tell these people these things, and in Latin America and South America, and it's almost like um it's like I tap into their conditioning, and it's really hard for them to process
Okay.
that, but then I have to like give them proof, and I have to give them good arguments, and then you can see that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are finally starting to get it, but it's so deep, it's so ingrained that they have this desire for a stronger state to have more order, right? More
yeah.
bureaucracy.
It's entrenched.
Bureaucracy is
It's
good.
entrenched.
Bureaucracy
Yeah.
protects you. That's their mindset.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that you see that a lot in the US now. But it's still, I'd say that the US is still the freest place because it has the most libertarian um, niches in culture, And so,
Yeah, still some pockets remaining there. Yeah, strong.
yeah, very valuable pockets of communities that champion freedom and that understand it. For sure. So if you were wondering why we're talking about junior mining stocks and precious metals here at the Crypto Vigilante, now you know. Um, this is all part of the Crypto Vigilante experience, that you also become a Dollar Vigilante subscriber, because after you make a lot in crypto and all you've known is crypto and you make a lot of profit in crypto, what do you do with that? Well,
Exactly.
There's
Exactly.
a whole world out there, guys. And this is what the Dollar Vigilante focuses on, is on helping you navigate not just crypto, but everything that matters most. So
Exactly.
yeah, very happy to have you here, Mike. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, man.
All right, peace, love, anarchy. Now we are dealing with a possible world war. Some will say we are already in a world war. My condolences and prayers go out to everyone suffering under tyranny. It really sucks. I'm really sorry. But it seems as if people are starting to wake up regarding crypto more and more each day. And so it's in the description right here to read, where we give our secret sauce and what we teach our subscribers, because things are just that bad. Everyone needs this information. People need to know about sound cryptocurrencies that are actually private by default, and to know how to properly use crypto.